Hi, welcome to Coffee with a Closer, where we're sitting down with top producing real estate agents to learn what they're doing in their business that brings success. And today I have a veteran, a 30-year veteran in the real estate business. She has been featured the last 5 years in a row in Chicago Agent Magazine and most recently in Real Producers. So I'm so glad to introduce Domenica Koch.
Thank you so much for having me, Michelle. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time out of your day. I know you're busy. So before we get started, I would love if you could just tell us a little bit about you, your family.
Yeah, so I am an immigrant to this country. We came here when I was 3 from Italy.
Okay.
I was born in Switzerland, but so I spent the first almost 4 years of my life in different countries. This was the third country I was in by the time I was 4.
Okay.
So lots of vast experiences, obviously. So my parents were here, and they've always taught me to just work really hard.
Okay.
And growing up in the city, I watched my dad bought his first 3-flat in Chicago.
Okay.
Like 3 years after we got here from Italy, and I've always admired the fact that came here, started working in a factory, and just worked his way up.
Okay.
My mom worked too. I mean, it was a 2-income family. We all had to work really hard to get where we're at. So I was really proud of them for doing that. But my dad has always loved real estate. He's never had a stock portfolio. He's never had a big 401k. All he knew was real estate.
Okay.
So when he sold his 3-flat, he bought a 6-flat in Schiller Park area.
Okay.
And owned, another home, and then he bought, investment property, and he's 92
Okay.
right now, and to this day, he says this is the only place he's ever made money is real estate.
Really?
Yeah, so
Okay.
that kind of stuck with me.
Yeah. Is that what inspired you to kind of become a realtor?
I recently realized that, that probably was just because of watching him do it and having, investment properties that he'd go and collect the rent, and now he's living off of that income of selling those properties.
Yeah.
And he's been retired since he was 65 and still doing okay. So
Yeah.
like he didn't really he made his own American dream, right?
Yeah.
So like all immigrants do, you come here and you're very hungry for a better life for your family.
Yeah. He probably didn't be coming from different countries. Did he speak the language right away? Or
No, he was in his 40s. Both, him and my mom's probably late 30s when we got here.
Okay.
And I still have a reminder in our loft upstairs of the big trunk that they came here with,
wow.
2 little girls and just a trunk of belongings, and that still to this day sits in my loft, and my kids know about it. It's just a reminder of what we came from.
Right. What a great reminder.
Yeah.
Very good. So it's you and your sister, right? You have one sister?
I have an older sister. She's 6 years older than me.
Okay.
So she lives in Mundelein. We're pretty close.
Okay.
So I'm close to her and her kids, my nieces and my nephew. And we're just, our holidays, that's who we get together with.
And you have 3 children?
I do.
Okay.
So they're all in their 20s. They're all functioning adults.
Okay.
They're all living in the city. They're in the West Loop. They're actually just a few blocks from each other. They walk to each other's houses all the time, or condos all the time. So
fun.
I'd love to see them make their own plans and get together, and they'll have a fun day Sunday, or my daughter's making dinner and she'll invite her brothers over.
Yeah.
So it's just really cute that they're really close.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So take us backwards, right? So you've been in the business about 30 years. 30 years ago, what did real estate look like at that time? There wasn't Zillow, there wasn't all of that. Tell us a little bit about how you got into the business and what did you do?
Well, I was 26. Well, we got married at 24, right? And by 26, we knew we wanted kids someday. So it was kind of a setup for how do we see ourselves raising kids in the future. And I knew that I didn't want a babysitter to raise our kids. I wanted to be with them as much as possible, right? I was never the type of person that could just stay home and raise kids and you know, God bless the people that do make those sacrifices,
Yeah.
right, to do that, because that's not easy.
Right.
So I always wanted kind of like a part-time gig to just bring some more money into the family, because I love to travel. But anyways, so I decided, you know what, let me get my license and kind of dabble in it while I was working full time. And that's where, you know, we thought, well, my husband's in the trades. So I thought, well, let's just maybe like flip some homes. This is probably way before your time, but do you
Okay.
remember that Carlton Sheets, like no money down program that you can buy on the infomercials late at night?
No, I don't
All
remember.
right, so that was us. It was like, hey, you know what, maybe we could buy a couple of homes
Okay.
and, you know, maybe start like an investment property. So it's always been in the back of our minds
Yeah.
that that's something that, you know, we wanted to do.
Right.
I was like, you can fix it up. I can sell it, or, you know, we can rent it out. So that was the plan.
Yeah.
Didn't really work out the way that it, you know, the program was set up, but it kind of opened up our eyes to real estate, right? So once we just trying to figure out how can we make this work for our family. And at that point, I thought, you know what, let me just get my license, and then we'll just start looking at places instead of, you know, bothering somebody else or, you know, working with somebody else.
Right.
Let me just dabble in this. So I did, and just kind of did both. I worked my full-time job, and I kind of was learning about the business, got my license, and started to get it going. And it's hard.
What did that look like? Like, what did you do? What kind of things did you do to try to like get your name out there?
Well, at the time I was working at a company called American Hotel Register. They were based in Northbrook. So I was like, well, I'll just go to, I went to Century 21 in downtown Northbrook. And so they could hold my license and kind of go through the process. And quickly I found that it was very difficult to have a full-time job and sell real estate at the same time. So what I did was kind of dove deep into who do I know, and just kind of started my sphere. At the time, my manager was like, well, here's a list of all the open houses that are for sale by owner. Maybe you should like go and introduce yourself, or start calling these owners and asking them if they want to list their house. And just the pit in my stomach of having to just reach out to people like that, it was just not how I wanted to run the business.
Okay.
It's by going door knocking or calling people that had for sale by owners on the market. I just didn't feel comfortable with that.
Yeah.
So I needed to find a different avenue. So I started just letting my friends know that I was selling real estate, letting my family know that I was selling real estate. Some of the neighbors that we lived next to knew. So that's how it kind of started.
Yeah.
And then didn't really go into it full time until the kids were young. We had 3 kids that were 5, 3, and my daughter was just born, so she was 6 months old.
Okay.
And I decided, you know what, I'm going to leave my full-time job.
Okay.
And I'm going to make real estate full-time, because I didn't want to continue having a full-time job, raising kids, and trying to make this real estate career work. It just wasn't.
Yeah.
It was taking too much out of me. So I decided, you know what, let's dive in. Let's do this full time. And it wasn't easy the first couple of years in getting my name out there, but you know, the more you do it, the easier it gets, the more people you know, and you just kind of build off of that. So it was a slow build.
Yeah.
For me, but which was fine, because that's kind of what I wanted. I wanted to put the kids on the bus in the morning, and I wanted to be there when they got off the bus.
You shared something kind of personal with me when we were talking before about kind of your why, right? So something you mentioned is when you first got into real estate at that time, you know, sometimes people would say that, you know, a woman's job is to be home, right? And raise their kids. But that wasn't your mission, right? Although that was important.
It was important, but I still had to be, I still wanted to be not just a mom. For me, it was important to be that role model for my kids, to be like, yeah, I'm your mom, and I'm here raising you, but I still have goals and dreams that I want to accomplish as well. So I'm going to try to be here as much as I can.
Right.
And when I'm not here, Dad will be here, or Nana and Nonna will be here to come and watch you. But we're going to make this work. And I wanted especially to show my daughter that you can be whatever you want to be. The boys had their dad was their main role model as well, but to be a little girl, I think it was even more important to show her that she can attain all of her dreams. And not to don't let anybody stop you, because as much as I had a wonderful upbringing, my parents loved me, they never emphasized going to college. It was like, just get a job. My dad used to tell me, get a job and work. You don't have to go to college because you're going to be raising kids anyway. You're going to be home. You don't need a career.
It was a different mindset, right, at that time.
A different mindset. And it wasn't out of, I know that it wasn't anything that malicious or trying to, put me down.
Sure.
It was what they knew. I mean, he had a farm in Italy. They had a butcher shop in Italy. It was, you worked. You didn't, nobody had a career. It was what they did. So, it was really important for me to get that across to her.
Yeah. Well, what a great role model for your daughter.
Thank you.
It's a very, very inspiring. So, in the beginning of the business, I know what you mentioned, that it was different, right? They came out. I know I've heard stories. I don't know that I've been in the business that long, but there was books that came out, and that's how you would find the houses for sale.
And by the time they were printed, they were outdated anyway.
Okay.
Right? But there were these almost like a yellow pages, but it was real estate book that would come out. I think it was like once a month, and it would have all of the listings in there. And if you had a client that was starting to look, you hand them a book. And you're like, well, this is what's available. You can start looking. Let me know if anything looks interesting to you. And it was just the front of the house, little description, and a little square, almost looked like what you see in the newspaper. Kind of. Yeah, it was not a lot of information, but that's what we would give out, because nobody had a personal computer.
Okay.
Nobody had an iPhone. Nobody had that was the time where people were starting to get cell phones, but they were big bricks.
Yeah, expensive.
So, pagers were in, and I don't remember getting I did have a personal computer by like 1997 maybe.
Yeah.
But before then it was online. And then what was online was out of that green screen, that DOS, no pictures. So it wasn't ideal.
How have you seen business change in how you get business, right? So how you help your buyers and your sellers from a time when the book came out to now, when we have things like Zillow and online leads, and how do you think that has influenced your business, or how do you think that has helped your business?
Well, as much as things have changed, I think the basics are still the same. I think that there's so many tools now for real estate agents that we didn't have in the past. Social media, it would have been nice, at the time, but we had our phone and we had our car. So it's either you go face to face with people, or start meeting your neighbors face to face, or you would pick up the phone and call people when they had an ad for a house. But things were very different. And I think these days it's almost too distracting with all of the tools. And every time, there's because your business is highs and lows, right? It's hills all the time. And when there's not a lot going on and you're in a valley and trying to get back up, the idea of it is pretty easy. It's get back to basics, get back to contacting your sphere, your favorite people, go see them, go bring them a little gift. I remember when my kids were little, they were very involved in the business too. We would, put little pop-bys into a little cart and go, down the neighborhood with them and dropping them off at people's door just
Oh,
to
wow.
introduce myself and be like, hey, I'm your neighbor and these are my kids and I sell real estate and this is what I do. So getting to know my neighbors in the community
Yeah.
face to face
I love
is
that.
how I kind of started my business.
That's funny that you say that because I too, I'm a believer that kind of one of the best sales activities is always just picking up the phone and making a call, right? Reaching out to people. And a lot of times we don't do it because we're afraid that we're bothering somebody. But it's not, you're just saying, hey, I was thinking about you. You popped into my mind. What's new? What's going on? And in the times that we have now, like you mentioned, with social media, with AI, I think it's those personal connections that are really going to matter most.
Yeah, getting started probably early 2000s, right? And I started at this little ma pa real estate company in Grace Lake, and they said, hey, you know what? We're going to a seminar. Want to sign up for it? I was like, yeah, sure. And I did a 2-day seminar, and it was a Buffini and Company seminar.
Okay.
And that was mind blowing for me.
Okay.
It was like, wow, wait, there's a system and there's another way, where this can benefit me and where I can spend more time with my kids and my family instead of just wasting my time with activities that aren't really working or helping. So that really kind of launched the working through with your sphere, doing cap items, making those personal calls and writing those personal notes and reaching people in those ways and kind of being consistent with that. So that's really where my business kind of grew.
Okay.
Once I implemented that and got a coach, and it was it was the best, I think, $200 I ever spent, because that's still to this day how I try to handle my business and how I try to reach back out to other clients. And like you said, it's hard. It's hard to like start initially making those calls, but a lot of times come up with a theme, whether it's a holiday, whether it's tax time, or what can I tell people? And so it's not bothering them. It's what can I share with them? What can I what value can I bring to them so that they know that I'm not here just to, hey, do you know anybody?
Right, making
That's
it
awkward.
personal. Right.
Yeah, and it's not about me. It's how can I help you, and what information that I can give you.
Yeah.
To make your day.
Something that, has kind of worked for me too is if there's maybe like a big storm that just happened, or maybe we got a lot of snow or something, it's easy to kind of reach out and say, hey, we're just thinking about you. We had some bad weather. How are you doing? Is everything okay?
Yeah.
Something like that. Just letting people know that you care, because genuinely you do care about your clients.
Absolutely.
So Buffini, is that the coaching program that you kind of followed? Or maybe
it is.
Still follow?
I don't anymore, but I was with them probably like 15 years.
Okay.
So it's it was time well spent. I had a coach, who kept me accountable, which was great. And it wasn't anything crazy. Again, just back to basics.
What do you think are can you share just maybe a couple of the things that it taught you that maybe have made one of the biggest differences?
Well, first of all, to put all your, your sphere, your contacts into one system. Right?
Okay. So like a database, a CRM, something like that?
And then...
Even if it's just an Excel spreadsheet, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, just where you can keep them all straight, and then to rank them. So you're spending the most amount of time with your best clients.
Okay.
People that have referred you in the past. People that are looking to buy or sell now would be, your A's. But, your top people should be the ones you give the most time to.
Okay.
Or the people that you'd want to go visit the most often. The people that know you, like you, and want to refer you. Okay. Those are your A pluses and where you want to spend most of the time. Then you have, your B's and C's, which you want to keep in contact with. Maybe they get a mailer, but really concentrating on your top your top people.
Another thing that you kind of mentioned to me in the past is that you love to learn, right? You love to read. Is there any good books that have kind of influenced you in your career?
Absolutely. So that was during the time when, with the Buffini, one of the things that they do is also encourage you to listen to motivational speakers. So,
Yeah.
a lot of Zig Ziglar's, a lot of Wayne Dyer. So that became something that I did. Like I'd thrown a CD in the car. Did we have CDs back then? I don't even know. But for the kids, when the kids were in the car, I mean, they were listening to all the motivational programs that I was listening to, and they still remember listening to, Wayne Dyer on your day and how to, be your best self and things like that. So they kind of grew up that way. And the other thing that we used to do when they were little is every January it'd be like, okay, it's time to make our vision boards. Everybody.
I love vision boards.
Everybody would get their board, and it's like, go get the magazines, go get how you want to make your vision board. So we'd make it just a fun day out of it because I had to do it. So might as well teach them how to do it.
Yeah.
And they're still, they're still doing it to this day.
Yeah.
And putting in their goals and things that they wanted to accomplish. And so it's so beautiful to see their progress. So they've been on this journey with me. Ever since they were little.
Yeah. That's funny that you say that because I get on a coaching call every morning, and on the days that I take my son to school, I'll have it going in the car, and I'm like, are you listening? Are you picking up anything? Because I think a lot of the stuff that we learn, it really can go to like life skills in any profession almost, right? Or just kind of the way you conduct yourself.
Absolutely. It's a mindset, right?
Mindset.
And it's not something that is typically taught. I know my parents weren't talking about motivational speaking, but it is definitely pouring is all we have into our kids, and like with your son excelling at his sport, which is beautiful to watch. But just having that, and I'm sure he gets a lot of that from you and from the atmosphere that he's in. Yeah, which is wonderful.
Yeah. Aw. Thank you. You've been in the business a long time, and you've kind of probably seen a lot of different markets. If there were somebody that's maybe coming into real estate today, what piece of advice would you have for them?
Again, back to the basics.
Back to the basics.
Try to reach out to people. And I have had several of my past clients that decided to get their license.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So in 30 years, you meet a lot of people.
Sure.
I always encourage it because it's been a wonderful career for me and given me the flexibility that I wanted with my family.
Yeah.
So I'm always encouraging, like, hey, if you need to bounce ideas off of me, if you want to go out for coffee, I'm happy to share my experience with you. But some of the main things is, just know that it's going to take a little bit of time to build. Okay. It's not an overnight thing, so just have a little cushion of funds because it takes a bit.
That's good advice.
To move on and to close. So just know what you're getting yourself into. And then just reach out to as many people as you know. And just know that you're in it for the long haul. It's going to take a bit of time to build. Don't get discouraged when things don't start happening right away.
Yeah, that's something that I kind of have seen is that there's it's consistency, right? Because you can try something and it might not work and you're like, oh, that was a dumb idea. Yeah. But if you kind of just keep doing it, and then all of a sudden, like something will pop and you're like, okay, I just didn't do it long enough. Right.
Because I've always heard success doesn't feel like success. Even when the numbers are there and you're closing and things feel good, it's very short-lived because the next month you could be like, oh my God, there's nothing going on. Like, what happened? Is anything? The natural stress of that first couple of weeks in January when everything is just still. And you're kind of freaking out in your head going, oh my God, how am I going to make this happen this year? Right. Like, where are all these clients going to come from? Am I going to make my numbers? So just knowing that that's perfectly normal. And even in 30 years in the business, those thoughts still go through my head. Yeah. Every time.
Yeah. Something that comes to mind for me is that our number one job really is prospecting, right? Prospecting is getting out there, meeting people, letting people know what we do, and seeing who has a need. And I think like you said, it can be tough to sometimes is all of a sudden if you do get busy, right? And then you're working in your business, right? You're meeting inspectors, you're meeting appraisers, right? And that time that you're spending on that, you're kind of forgetting to do the number one job, which is the prospecting. And that's where we see kind of the roller coasters, right? So it's, if you got a maybe time block or whatever it is, it's just like, do that, non-negotiable, and do it consistent, and then the business will follow.
Yeah. And your business has taken off as well. It's been amazing.
Yeah, I just like you said, I'm a big believer in kind of putting action, right? So it doesn't have to be perfect, and a lot of people kind of, I think, are afraid to do stuff because maybe they don't like the way they look on video, or maybe they're saying, well, am I going to sound silly, or just do it, right? And then we learn as we grow, and we get better and we get better. Even like I mentioned to you earlier with like the podcast, it's like, it's kind of let's just try it and let's keep going, and they'll keep getting better as we go. So I found out that we share something in common that we just kind of found out today. We've known each other for a long time, but we just kind of put two and two together today.
We did.
And that's, you're actually a black belt.
I am.
Tell us about that.
Well, I started karate when I was 14. It was Shotokan karate.
Okay.
And I was, we were living in the city and going to high school, and they offered it after school. So I went home and told my parents, I think I'm going to start karate. And I was like, oh no, you're going to break your nose. And I'm like, Mom, I really want to try this. Because growing up in the city, you had to have a little toughness to you, I think, and which kind of transferred over to the real estate business.
Okay.
Because you're going into people's homes. You're showing houses that are vacant. You're having open houses where you don't know who's walking through the door.
Right.
And what intentions there are. And there's been, just a couple of times where it was an awkward, maybe creepy situation that I didn't want to be in.
Okay.
One time at an open house, it was a neighborhood that I sold a lot of homes in. And towards the end of the open house, this man walked in and he wanted to look at the house. And I said, go ahead and look. I'm going to start closing up, but go ahead and look. And then he's calling me from the basement going, there's something I want to show you in the basement. And
oh boy.
And I was
your
like,
antennas, your red flags must have popped right up.
Yeah, red flags. And I was like, well, I'm going to be closing up, so why don't you just come up? And I'm standing by the front door. And my MO, even before that, was when I'm in an open house, before, once I'm setting up, looking at my exit routes, keeping the back door ready, like either open or ready, ready to go. I won't wear a skirt to an open house. I'm always in pants so I can, I don't know, run or defend myself.
Yeah.
So it's always come into, in the back of my mind, if I needed to defend myself.
Yeah. They're in trouble.
Yeah, they're in trouble. I'm hoping that I can. I mean, I studied karate for 10 years.
Wow.
And until I was 24. So I've never needed to use it, nor do I want to.
Okay, good.
But I have that in my back pocket.
Sure.
Just in case. But I think it just makes me more aware and maybe a little more suspicious of people's intentions. And everything worked out fine. He came back upstairs and I was like, I'm closing up now, but I was by the front door. I'm like, okay, we need to vacate the house now. And it turned out fine.
Good.
But I don't want to, be put in a situation where I have to defend myself. Like
I think those are good tips. And I mean, those are very practical and things that you do have to do, especially if you're doing an open house by yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one of the only professions where you're there by yourself and you're announcing it to everyone that, hey, look at me, I'm here. You even have directional signs that go right to the house for you. And we never, you don't see an attorney doing that. You don't see an accountant doing that. Like, look at me, I'm by myself in a house.
Right.
And I that part of the business I don't like, so I try to bring somebody with me.
Yeah.
Lender or, just somebody that
associate,
And you, tell me a little bit about you. When did you
start
martial arts?
I also am a black belt. I started when I was actually 12, so a lot, and I only did it up until I had my oldest son. But yeah, that's funny that we have that connection. And like you, I have not had to use it, so thankfully.
And what style were you
mine was
studying?
Taekwondo.
Okay.
Yeah. So a little bit different, but still the same.
Yeah, I love that. See, now I know why, we've had that connection.
You need to market that somehow, your black belt team.
I will fight for you.
I love that. Oh, that's awesome. Is there a story from maybe the last, in your career that really sticks with you? Like maybe somebody who, just a client or a story that really kind of, that you'll never forget?
Yeah, I do. There's several, but I want to say one of my top stories is a client that I had. Her name is Irma, and she was older. Her son was maybe like in his late 20s, and so they reached out to me to look for a home, and it was they were looking in like around Lake Beach.
Okay.
And her price point was pretty low. Right?
Okay.
She was buying it by herself. She was a single mom, and her son was living with her. She couldn't afford a lot of money.
Okay.
And so we started looking, and probably a couple of weeks in, she pulls me aside and she said, I knew when I met you that like you're going to want to help me. She said, because the person that I was working with before basically told me that I could probably never buy my own home.
Okay.
Because I just don't make enough money. And I was like, so I made it my mission.
Okay.
To help her out. And we found something that met their needs. It was a small little 2-bedroom, and the price was $93,000.
Okay.
Okay. It wasn't a big house, but it was all hers.
Yes.
And it was one of the most satisfying and just heartwarming deals. The closing. So we went to the closing and bought her a little plaque, like Home Sweet Home, for her to put on the wall. And she just broke down crying.
Aw. And
she was so moved. She said, I never thought this day would happen. I knew when I met you that, you would help me.
It was meant to be. It
was meant to be. And so I broke down crying. And then the attorney starts crying. And then we got the processor crying.
Oh my gosh.
And everybody in the room is just tears of joy.
Right.
For this woman who basically was told, like, no, you're just going to have to rent the rest of your life. This is never going to happen for you. And I took it as a challenge. Yeah. And to this day, she's still in my sphere and
awesome.
And my list. And she's I give her a lot of props because it wasn't easy after somebody tries to shut you down to get back out there.
Have the courage to keep trying.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so I was just happy to be a part of it. It was one of the most meaningful closings I've ever had.
Yeah, it shapes why you do what you do, right? Yeah. Just helping people and seeing that, seeing somebody realize their dreams that they didn't think was possible is the biggest gift. Absolutely. And then,
just knowing that there's agents out there who won't work with somebody because of their price point, when that's a family, that's a person's heart that you're dealing with. So you really have to take better care of the people we're helping.
Yeah, no, I love that.
To me.
All right, Domenica, I did get you something very small, so
I'll
let you open that.
Thank you so much. This was so fun.
Like I said, it's something very small.
I love it.
It's your own little coffee cup.
Coffee with the Closer.
Well, I thank you so much for being here today. I know you're busy, so
you.
thank you for taking the time out of your schedule. I'd like for you to share, if somebody wanted to reach out to you, how could they do that?
Absolutely. So I'm Domenica Koch with App Properties in Libertyville, and you can reach me at 847-736-9343 or follow my socials, and I'm looking forward to meeting everybody.
And if you'd like to reach out to me, I'm Michelle Garibay, and you can reach me at 262-496-4582. Follow me on social, and of course, follow Coffee with a Closer.